October 24th, 2014, what seemed like a normal day to the students and staff of Rockford High School turned into a day that would change hundreds of lives, and all because of a phone call.
We answer a lot of telephone calls here. And one in particular came through one day, and it was from a Skype call. Never really seen that before. So you answer it, and the Skype caller, very rude, very direct, and we were given a threat.
14 more incidents followed, ranging from bomb threats to personal threats.
The person or the people responsible for doing this took to social media,
causing months of tension and investigation.
I wanted the administration and staff to begin looking around the facility, either inside and outside, to see if there's anything unusual, and ask the teachers to do the same within their classrooms.
Superintendent Dr. Michael Scheibler had to make quick decisions how to best keep the students safe while not disrupting the school day.
In every case but one, we put the students in shelter in place.
Shelter in place is a drill used to keep students in their classrooms in order for normal school activities to continue. Once law enforcement gave the all clear, the regular schedule would resume.
None of the threats were credible, but we take them very seriously.
Here's how serious it became.
I then called the law enforcement, and then they would make a decision whether it was necessary to send dogs. That would be bomb sniffing dogs.
And on one particular day, bomb dogs were essential. The school received a threat that a propane tank had been placed in the academic wing. School administrators rushed students to the gym while bomb dogs checked the school. Michigan State Police Trooper Dave Cardenas and his dog Bolt were part of the crew that day.
Search. So that's his little collar that we put on every time we do explosive work. That's what he puts on. So that way he knows what he's looking for. Instead of people, he's going to be looking for explosives. And his final response is to sit.
Although Bolt didn't have to sit, for many students, these threats began to hit home.
To me, the way our students handle these type of things is critical to the entire process.
So I was threatened by an anonymous person, I guess, by a Twitter threat.
One night, I think it was around 11:30, I was about to go to bed, and I had a friend call me saying, hey, did you see the Twitter account?
Seniors Jake Van Kuren and Sophie Unger were two of nearly 10 other students who were individually threatened by who was known around town as the Rockford Bomber.
You wouldn't really expect it in high school. So I was a little scared, obviously, because this doesn't really happen to everyone.
I had no idea what they were talking about, but I went and looked on and just saw all the tweets and saw that I was directly targeted.
The threat was that someone was going to come to school with a gun or something and assault a lot of me and my friends.
The fact that students are directly getting targeted and it's personal, something needs to be done, this is getting a little out of hand.
And personal it was. The threat not only targeted Sophie's faith, but mentions 1999 Columbine victim Cassie Bernal.
Do you believe in God? God won't save you tomorrow. You will end up like Cassie Bernal.
It had gone too far. It felt so different and so personal to everyone, especially Jake's mom, who is also Vice Principal Katie Van Kuren. She is used to dealing with hundreds of students every day. When it involved her own child, things changed.
I felt like we have these protocols in place. We have police that are here. We have a response team. We have cameras. We have a lot of different people that are looking out for the safety of. But then when it was an attack against my son personally, it felt so different to me.
Obviously, a mother is going to be protective, but she kind of calmed me down and was like, it's not going to happen. It's just kind of trying to scare you, but it's definitely a different school year.
But why were Jake and Sophie targeted? Was there a connection behind all of these threats?
I would sit and look at the list and try to figure out the connections, and there were, a lot of those people on that list I am friends with. Some of them are not my best friends, but I do have connections. So I didn't know if that kind of had something to do with it, so I really don't know why.
But FBI agent John King says there is no connection between these victims. They were completely random. But throughout all of this, were they any closer to finding the Rockford bomber?
Well, one, you're looking for a needle in a haystack when you're dealing, because you don't know if they're sitting right next door or if they're halfway across the world.
So, will the Rockford bomber be right next door? Next week on Beyond the Rock School News.
When law enforcement gets involved, especially the federal government gets involved, we're looking at it as a marathon. We're going to be all in it for the entire race, not just the 100-yard dash. And that is, we're looking for them to trip up during that marathon.
Previously on Beyond the Rock, our team took a look at the bomb threats that struck Rockford High School during the 2014-2015 school year. And in this marathon of an investigation, someone finally tripped up.
We have identified an individual that is responsible. We have identified a few individuals that are responsible for the bomb threats and the threats going on in West Michigan.
One of these individuals was a sophomore at Rockford High School. On June 17, 2015, police announced that this young man would face charges for a false report or threat of terrorism, a 20-year felony. However, he had no prior criminal record.
Typically, if we would have identified a minor that was involved that had some significant criminal history, then the federal government would have prosecuted or would have sought out prosecution on the individual.
But the 16-year-old pled guilty, giving him probation, rehabilitation, and more than $100,000 in restitution. However, he was not the only one involved. The sophomore was also providing information to other students from Texas, Massachusetts, and the United Kingdom. He said they were the closest thing he had to friends.
And so it gets extremely difficult for the kids, and as kids are growing up, social media you can turn to it. You can always communicate 24/7 with somebody utilizing a device that you carry in your pocket.
He said, "It was a terrible point in my life. I knew it was wrong at the time. I really just didn't know what to do, and I know I made the wrong choice. I just felt like trapped." But he was not the only one trapped. His actions trapped several others, including Jordan Robinson and her family.
So we started getting the phone calls in October, and the phone rang, and my dad answered it, and it just said, "Can I talk to Jordan?" And my dad said, "Can I ask who's calling?" Just wondering who was calling. And he just said, "It doesn't matter who's calling, I just want to talk to Jordan."
These constant phone calls went on for months, with almost 15 to 20 calls a day. He knew personal information such as her phone number, home address, and school schedule.
And he said that when he walked through the halls, he watched me at my locker, in between classes, and he told me on the phone that he stared at me in class, and that he watched me all day long, and that made me terrified.
This persistence turned into violence and began calling with threats of murder and rape.
When I went to school, I didn't pay attention in class because I was so worried and so focused on looking around to see who was looking at me, or if someone was looking at me, or trying to figure out who this was that kept calling me and threatening my family.
But after months of investigative work, stress, and fear, the Rockford bomber was found right in our very own backyard. And victims such as Sophie Unger were able to find relief in knowing that finally, this was the end.
I just know that so many people were getting frustrated, and it's just hard to feel safe when you just constantly are getting bombarded with all these threats. So it just felt good to know that they found him, and that most likely that this would be done.
The advising judge stated this: "We live in the age of Columbine. We live in an age where people go into theaters and shoot other people, and when you contribute to that kind of chaos, we need to dig deep." And I think the hope is that through that rehabilitation, that is going to play a big role into digging deep into what really happened here. With Beyond the Rock School News, I'm Ilene Gould.